The Pettis perspective, taking it on the road. Roadshow. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Costa Mesa Pettis perspective. My name is Jeff Pettis, and thank you for watching. Hey, stick around a little bit longer of a video this evening, but you'll see why in a minute. What I want to talk about tonight is the last 4 years I've been watching this current council deliberate, govern, do the things that local government should do. And one of the things that I've noticed that it's really kind of stuck out to me is they have these accomplishments. You know, they do these things and I don't know if it's a capital improvement project or if it's some initiative, and they complete the project or whatever it is they're trying to do, and then they present it like, look at what we did for the city, and they kind of pat each other on the back, and that's pretty much it. And my issue with it is there's always another side to the story. For every improvement or every initiative, for the most part, you do, there's going to be another side to the equation, and I'm talking about the side of the resident. And primarily what they get is 3 minutes during each council meeting for the public comments portion. They get 3 minutes, mics cut off. They can't really ask questions of people up on the dais. So, or they can email or they can call, but really the residents have very little to say about the consequences, repercussions, or whatever it might be regarding some of these things. And what I'm talking about tonight is I had a gentleman by the name of Benny Halleck show up to one of my campaign events at the Wild Goose recently. A few weeks back, the first time I ever met this gentleman. I thought he was just there to support. Ended up speaking to him for a long time that evening, and he told me a story that's going to be the topic of this video, and it's in relation to the bikeability, the safer streets initiatives, the capital improvement projects that use 19th Street as an example, or bike lanes. This relates to that because we hear a lot about that on the council, and I'm not here to be against bike lanes per se. I'm not here to take a stance against bikeability and walkability. I know it's important to primarily RLS rentals, actually all of them. But there is another side to it, and you occasionally hear somebody pop up in the meetings and voice their concerns. But Benny Halleck is a resident, longtime resident. I had only met him, like I said, at that first night at the Wild Goose. What I decided to do is interview him, and I did that in front of Kaiser Elementary School, and the story is his, and I want you to give him a platform, and by extension, give the rest of the residents that might not be necessarily happy with everything the council does. Let's roll. Welcome back to the Costa Mesa Pettis Perspective. Again, Jeff Pettis here with Benny Halleck, who's the resident we've been talking about in the introduction. And Benny, tell them who you are, how long you've lived here.
As he said, my name is Benny Halleck. I'm a 48-year lifelong resident of Costa Mesa. I'm 4 of 5 generations to live in Costa Mesa, Newport, specifically east side Costa Mesa. I've lived on this block here alone for 34 of those years. I live across the street from a house I grew up in. I'm a local roofing contractor. I went to Newport Harbor, went here to Kaiser. I'm a local boy.
Awesome. And Betty and I just met a few weeks ago. He attended an event of mine at the Wild Goose, and we have not known each other prior to now. And like I talked about in the intro, my interest is giving a voice to the people, which has been lacking from this council. And what I wanted to do is talk about today. We're here at the scene of the crime, so to speak, in front of Kaiser. Benny lives just down the road, and I want to ask him a few questions about his experience. So when did you first learn about the bike lane changes on Santa Ana, and what was your reaction? When did you first learn about all this?
So the city sent out a mailer early June, and it actually looked like just a piece of junk mail. that was thrown away by a lot of our neighbors. And that junk mailer advertised a meeting that they were going to have here at Kaiser to let the community, what we thought, voice their opinion on this project of taking away the parking on one side, moving things around, adding a bike lane. And I started my movement. I went to all my neighbors. I got everybody's signature that was opposed to it, which was 276 of us directly affected, not 6 blocks down or other cities, right here in the core of this neighborhood. And we thought we were done. We thought we had the opposition. Come to find out, the city labeled me as a whack job because of the way I wrote a community petition. Once again, I'm a roofing contractor. I'm not an attorney. I'm not anything. I'm just an average guy, blue collar guy, grew up here, and I put together a heartfelt, fact-based cover letter, and they made me seem like I was a whack job because I'm trying to fight for the people of my community, not just for our property values, for our kids, for the safety of our kids, the safety of our community, and just the comfortable vision that Costa Mesa has east side with how diverse we are here.
Whack job, huh? I've been called worse. But so did you, when you said 56 signatures, was that like a change.org petition, or was...
I did a combination of hitting the street, getting wet signatures here on the street, houses that I couldn't get a hold of anybody. I left a flyer down with a link to a change.org website for that side of the petition. So between the two, when I served the people with the city, not only the assistant city manager, but 2 people from the transportation department, I served them with 276 signatures opposing this.
Okay. So how do you think that when you first heard about this, what were you worried about that the proposed changes and what they were doing here was going to affect your life in the neighborhood? What was your concern?
First off, affecting us was the parking. The city of Costa Mesa has a habit of adding more dwellings, more doors to the city, and then there's another separate entity of the city that is taking away parking. So one side's adding the need for more parking, while the other side, the transportation side, is taking away parking from us. I have 3 different investigations that have said that this project has lowered our property value $75,000 to $150,000 per property by taking the parking away. And the parking in this neighborhood during school events is treacherous. It's dangerous because you take 500 cars and they ascend on this neighborhood in a short period, and people are crossing the streets, people are double parked, people are parked in reds, parked in front of fire hydrants, and it just makes it crowded and unsafe. Do we know that? We live next to an elementary school. We accept that. We moved here. So we understand.
How many kids do you have?
I have no kids.
You have nieces, nephews?
I have tons of nieces and nephews that I care deeply about. I have friends that I grew up with live on these streets, and all their kids, I'm uncle to them too.
So we're all about safety.
Right.
We're all about safety, but there's another side to the equation. One thing that my experience has been since I ran in 2020 is you have this council that's a 6-to-1 majority, and they come up with these ideas, projects, things they want to do, and they put forward that they're going to engage the community and have that be a part of their decision making when they do these projects. But it seems like to me that this meeting that you went to make your voice heard, it wasn't about them hearing the residents, it was about them letting you know what they're going to do.
Correct. Right? And at that meeting I was labeled a monster as well. I'm not a monster. I think I'm a pretty good guy. I sit on the boards for veteran organizations. I manage beach cleanups. I help all kinds of people, and it's been a joy to do. So I'm not a bad person. I'm not a monster. I care about the kids' safety, but at the same time, if you're going to put the kids' safety up in front of this, then these parents and the adults need to teach these kids how to do it safely.
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Benny, but they claimed that they had spoken to not only the stakeholders, which are the residents here local to Kaiser, but they also spoke to they said they spoke to Kaiser too. Am I accurate on
They
that?
said at the meeting they had approval from the district and the school itself. They did not name who they had that approval from, but since this has taken place, we have proven verbally that they did not talk to the school, they did not talk to the district, and the only communication they've had with the directly affected neighbors was that mailer that looked like a piece of junk mail, which most people I spoke to threw it away.
What is the when I was looking through some of your documents, what was the 96% number? They referenced that this project was approved by 96%.
So that was a verbal statement by somebody in the transportation department after they put the signs up that there would be construction happening here. And I called the city, talked to that gentleman, and he claimed that he had a 96% approval rating. And I said, how can you do that? We have everybody in the directly affected area is opposed to these changes. So we don't know where that 96% came from. And since then, I've also done a FOIA request, which they have returned, but they kind of returned it with a lot of fluff. They didn't give me any of the brass tacks. They didn't answer those questions. I asked if they...
What did you FOIA? Just
a few of them. It was 21 items. I asked for all correspondence with the school district, all correspondence with the school, all correspondence with the locally affected residents, and a lot of other things like the budgets, who approved those budgets, the contracts for the awarded contractor, any of their marketing material. And I got back 153 pages from that FOIA request. And a big majority of those pages were actually part of the city's master plan in regards to transportation.
So it was just a bunch of fluff.
And even like 13 pages was my own petition that they gave me back. And their reasoning for not giving me some of the items that I requested was for personal reasons.
Which was?
I don't know. They don't want to give out who.
Didn't they say you had a typo or something?
Well, that was on my cover page. Okay. Once again, my cover page, I'm a roofing contractor. It's a community petition. If I was a truck driver and wrote it in crayon and everybody signed in crayon, it doesn't matter. It's the community's voice, whether it's crayon, printed, or whatever. And for them to just dismiss me as the voice for this community, that doesn't make sense. It makes sense with the current administration. A couple of people that you're running against are the same way. It's their way or the only way. And the transportation people are the same.
Yeah, my opponent on council and the council in general, it seems to me, I attend every single council meeting. I follow them pretty closely. I do it so you guys don't have to. A big thing is the bikeability, the walkability. Look what we did for the city, but I have heard very little until now about how it impacts the actual residents and the people. So that's why we're here. Again, I want to reiterate that we're not against having bike lanes, but we are against no contact with the residents that are directly affected. And that's
correct. And everybody here is all about the kids' safety. I'm looking at a young lady named Charlotte right now, and she needs to be safe too. But Jeff and his wife take it upon themselves to teach these kids, his kid, how to properly ride a bike where they need to. Charlotte's a young girl, and she doesn't have the confidence, the talent, any of that to be riding on a street next to cars. She rides her bike on a sidewalk. Maybe next couple of years that confidence will come in, and she will be able to ride in the street. But on the east side of Costa Mesa, the entirety, there's 6 blocks of bike lanes.
6 blocks.
6 blocks. Santa Ana alone in the city of Costa Mesa is 15 blocks long. Those 6 blocks of bike lanes are smack dab in the middle of this sector here. There's no bike lanes on Orange. There's no bike lanes on Tustin. No bike lanes on any of the connector roads. They're all shared use. So 30 years ago when they decided to do this original plan, which it was changed when they originally did it, to reflect what the neighborhood wanted and what the school wanted, because the parking was on this side, which made it convenient and safe for kids. They didn't really put into play their own master plan. Their own master plan, which was part of my FOIA, labels this as a connector road at 40 feet wide, which means no bike lanes. So therefore it would fall in the same category as Orange and Tustin, where the road is one and the same with a car. Give way, yield to bicyclists, pedestrians. We all know that. you got a driver's license in your pocket, and you swore when you took those tests to watch for that. And so, do we just put bubble wrap around the kids and hope they're good and put them in a lane with walls, or do we teach them the right way to be safe? Just like we teach drivers to look out for them. Look out for motorcyclists that's going behind us right now. It's education on every level, not just take things away from the community.
I just want to say I'm glad you're not running for council, because I appreciate all the research you've done, Benny. I mean, it's nice to see residents who have the information. Before this was done, I just wanted the before and the after real quick. So before all this was here, you were able to park as a resident, right? And now what happens?
So 30 years ago, when they did these bike lanes, which started Del Mar, go down to Broadway, one side was red, one side you could park on, and there was bike lanes on both sides. Immediately when that happened, especially in this block, everybody from that side of the street said, no, you're not putting a red curb in front of our house. So the caveat was that you couldn't park here 7:30 to 4:30 during school hours, so that kids wouldn't cross the street and put them in an unsafe situation.
Right.
Makes sense,
Reasonable.
right? Neighborhood bought it because now their guests have somewhere to park after school, on the weekends, so on and so forth. So that side was restricted. This side was unrestricted.
Good balance.
Yep. So
right?
The house I live in is 75 years old. Been able to park in front of there forever.
Right.
This curb's never been red. Now they've switched it so this side of the street is no parking whatsoever, not even just part-time. It's
Ever.
Gone.
Okay. Red.
Park on that side. Yep. Yeah. It's red. So how that has made this neighborhood unsafe is these parents still stop and drop their kids off.
Even though it's red.
Yeah, even though it's red.
So red didn't necessarily do anything to the drop.
No, they drop off, pick up. Then let's not even talk about the delivery trucks. Now you have a UPS truck sitting there that's not only blocking the bike lane, blocking traffic, makes it so that kids that are on the street have to go around into opposing traffic. And before we really didn't have that because we had parking and a bike lane. And on that side there was no parking during those hours anyways that a delivery truck or trash truck would be going through. So those interactions weren't very prevalent. And then some of the other things that changed with this is during some of your post-production here, I'll send you some pictures. The parents are now blocking the bike lane completely when they're picking up and dropping off. And that was one of their concerns at this meeting was, I'll show you offline, was a few pictures they had of cars and bikes getting close, but now it's just blocked. They're not even close, they're just blocked.
So the solution from the city's perspective is less safe than before.
Yes, and that's been documented every day since they've done this. Some of the other residents have taken it upon themselves to sit out in front of the school, document issues, bike lane being blocked, close encounters, the delivery truck for the school itself parks right in front of the school and goes inside and talks to the girls, is in there for 20 minutes, blocks traffic. And the red curb on this side of the street not only affects this side of the street because now you're having kids cross the street. For 30 years ago, they weren't supposed to cross the street, right? Now it's okay. We've made it safe for them. We painted the road green. It's safe for them. Yeah. But now they're crossing the street. I can't tell you how many videos I have of kids and parents crossing the street.
False sense of safety.
It's the current administration right now is trying. I don't even know what it is. I'm not a politician. I never claimed to be. I'm not. I've just stepped up to fight this be the voice of my neighbor.
I had a question for you, the most important question in my eyes. What was the first day of school like after this project was completed?
Well, this is a pretty good size elementary school, so first days of school is always chaotic. Everybody's got new schedules to get used to, first day of school, back to work, so on and so forth. But with this side of the street being blocked off, a lot of the parents that would do a drop and run with their children couldn't do that. So they ended up parking down Rose, Camellia, and parents were having to walk from all over because it was just so chaotic.
Who was controlling the traffic?
So the school found out about this when they came back to work. Nobody knew about it.
Beforehand. In the summer.
They knew, I think, 3 days before school started. This whole thing, I want to say, was done in secrecy, but I can't say that on record because I don't know. It's a gut feeling. But it made things a lot more unsafe than normal. Very chaotic, which it always is, but the whole week was very chaotic. All the parents not knowing what to do, where to go.
Right.
Traffic was backed up to 20th, back to Tustin. All the crossing guards were just smashed. They couldn't keep up. And it was just created a lot of unsafe instances that would have happened before. Were there instances that were unsafe before? Close encounters? Yes. There's a lot more now. And there hasn't been a incident involving a vehicle and a child in this side of town as long as I can remember. The last one I can remember was that unfortunate kid that was in the alley over by Ensign that got hit by a trash truck. Very unfortunate incident, and close calls happen. But that goes back to the training you give your kid and educating them to make sure they're not putting themselves in those situations, just like we do in our cars and everyday life. I'm a roofing contractor. I have to deal with very dangerous things, very dangerous heights every day, but I've educated myself, I've educated my employees to keep them safe.
Right. Man. So again, this is going to be the first of many of these I do with folks that are impacted by decisions in the council. Again, it's just about giving the residents of Costa Mesa a voice, which they've been it's been lacking so far. Let's be honest. I really appreciate your time, my man.
Appreciate you.
And hey, be kind to yourself, be good to each other. Together we can get it done, and bye for now.